putting this question to know more about Jainism. That's the only intention. So I've heard that Jainism says, it doesn't acknowledge Ishvara as Srishti Sthiti Samhara Murti. God as the creator, the one who sustains and who destroys. Um, if it is not so, how come these three processes are taking place? How about karma? If there is no Ishvara, how does karma, how does the law of karma operate? And how about rebirth? What is that governs all these, according to Jainism? I'm putting this question just with the intention to know more about.
According to Jainism, Jainism believe in God, but Jainism don't believe God as a creator. Jainism believe that the purest state of the soul is a God. When we have rag, dvesh or karma attached to us, then we are a sansari prani. When that is destroyed, then a soul can become a God. Second question is, then who makes the all the universe, earth, or who creates all the thing? So Jainism don't believe the God as a creator. If God creates something, for example, if we believe that God creates the earth or God creates this universe, then the first question comes, who creates the God? If we say that there is some another big God who create this God, then the same infinite question continue, who create that big God? Is there another some bigger God? So this is an infinite process, and at the last we have to say that it is. So why not the universe as it is? So it is just by a nature, law of nature, it creates, it don't creates but it happens. According to time, it destroy, it rebirth, it taken all the things. Second thing what you ask about the karma, that who give the result of karma. So karma itself have a decoding and coding system that it gives result his own. When the karma have the same time frame come when he have to give the results good or bad according to our action, then the karma itself give the result. If God is creator, or if God gives someone sorrow or pain, or someone have to some happiness and some have to sorrow, I don't think so that God have a kind of discrimination that this person I will give some kind of pain and this person I will give happiness. Why God will do so? If God create us, then who create the terrorist? Same God. Who create the bombs? Same God. Who create the thieves? Same God. So if God creates human being, there are some person who are blind by birth, who have no leg by birth. So is there any defect in the God's module? No. God is almighty. It is the purest state of the soul. So God don't create or God don't give some happiness or some pain to us, but it's by our karma and nature. The nature itself create a lot of things, it generates a lot of things, it happens a lot of things, and according to our action, if we do good action we attract good karma, if we do bad action we attract bad karma, and as kind of energy we attract we get the same kind of result.
God is a pure situation of soul. We say Shuddha, Shuddha, Namo Shuddhanam, Shuddha, emancipated souls. According to Jainism, God is not one, not one. Infinite souls are God. Whoever soul goes to salvation, that is God. In this way, not only single soul is God, infinite souls are God according to Jainism. And those souls of God are in their own bliss. They don't do for creation. It is the concept of Jainism. Of course, though of course there may be some problem, then who drives this car of the creation? This is a problem. But there is also a problem. If God is creator, then as he, Muni Kumarsman told, who is the creator of that God? If God may be itself, then creation also may be itself. Some problems are there. But according to Jainism, no God is creator of the creation. You are satisfied? Satisfied? He is. બે ખડે આવે હા આપણે
Pranam Acharya ji. I wanted to ask about karma, and for example, Ramana Maharshi would say that it is not necessary for all karmas to be resolved in order for liberation to occur. Liberation can occur at any time, even if somebody has either positive or negative karma. What does Jainism say about this?
According to Jainism, all karmas should be destroyed. Without all karma destruction, no salvation is possible. According to Jainism, all karmas. A single karma cannot be in existence in salvation.
I have strong attachment with some persons, like my son, family, friends, which I know I have to overcome. And I have attachment with some creatures, living beings, like dogs as well. And sometimes I don't know what the difference is between compassion and compulsion. If the compassion is merely an attachment and of compulsive character, and what is the factor of love, and how can I overcome this too strong attachment to my son or to other creatures who are living?
Stages of non-violence and amity. As you have attachment to your son, your brother, or other relatives, so that is a personal attachment. Personal attachment is a lower stage, because you can kill any other creature for your own son, because you have attachment to your son, not to other creatures. So, if chance you can kill other creatures to save your son. So this attachment is called rag in Jainism. Rag attachment. This attachment is lower stage. In lower stage, one attachment is not attachment but amity for all living beings, and friendship for all living beings. Then you cannot kill any creature for any other creature. That is all living beings, friendship to all living beings. So this attachment is to be given up in spiritual practice as my son, my. That is to be given up in upper stage of spiritual practice. Understand? But try to keep our mind free from attachment. Practice should be done for avoiding attachment.
My pranams to Acharya. In Swamiji's answer, Swami was telling this is the pure soul is the God, and with Ragudvesha it is a lesser, maybe human being. If the pure soul becomes gets Ragadvesha and then later it leaves, or it starts with Ragadvesha then becomes pure soul. Where the starting point?
Our soul was not pure, never was pure. That we are persons. Our soul never was pure. It was always impure. Now we should try to make it pure. then it will be completely pure, free from all karmas, then it will be God. It was not formerly pure, it was always impure. Now we should try to make it pure.
If it was always impure,
Ah.
how can it become pure once?
Nee, by spiritual practice, we can make it pure. Meditation, etc. We can make it pure.
So it started as an impure one only. So who created that impure
There
soul?
was no starting of soul. No starting of soul. Every time soul was there. Every time. Not a beginning point of soul. Always was soul. Always was impure. Now we should try to make it pure.
I'm sorry, I cannot understand. When it was not started and it was always there
Always.
and it was always impure, then how can it become pure once?
As
I'm
you
sorry, I'm
see-
not able to understand this.
As you see, there is gold mixed with soil.
Soil.
Okay? We can try to, by process, make the gold pure, removing the soil. In the same way, our soul was mixed with karmas, is mixed with karmas. Now, by process of penance or restraint, we can make it pure. We can remove the soil of karmas. Then soul will be pure as the gold.
I'm sorry, please tell me if I understood correctly. The soul was mixed with Raga Dvesha, this karma.
Karma, rag, dvesa.
So if you say it is mixed with, that means it was pure,
No,
then
no,
it
no.
was mixed with
it
the
was,
other.
It was always naturally was mixed with rag, dvesh, karmas.
Because gold, example, gold we know as a pure one, then it mixed with the sand or something, which is not
when
gold.
it was mixed with soil, when it was mixed with soil, it's gold.
So we should be able to see the gold as gold. Only then we can say gold mixed with something else.
Nee, now as gold was in the
In the
earth, in the
earth.
earth. When gold was mixed with soil, when who make the gold mixed with the soil?
Swamiji, if just because we cannot see that, if the gold is always with earth, then we cannot separate that, isn't it?
Nee, according to you, who made the gold mixed with soil? Who made the mixed the gold with soil?
So when the gold was created, at that time itself, we say it's mixed with other elements.
This is a example, very general example. In this, look, soul was not created, never was. It was always. It was always impure. If it was pure, then who made it impure? It was impure. It can be done pure by practice of spirituality.
A pure one cannot be made impure, that I can understand.
Ah.
So it means impure one also cannot be made pure, isn't it?
Impure can be made pure.
Oh.
Then how soul will go to salvation? If impure cannot be made pure, then how soul will go to salvation?
So I'm sorry, what is the salvation according to Jainism?
Salvation. That is a condition of soul, and that is place of also place. As now we are general persons, we are impure, not completely pure. By practice of spirituality, our soul will be completely free from rag, dvesh, karam, etc. All karmas. Then that soul, after death of this life or any life, it will go to up, more up. There it will be situated. No body, no mind, no speech, no crime, only soul, full of joy, full of infinite knowledge, full of infinite, matlab ye darshan, etc. So then soul will situate there, and forever the soul will be there. That soul cannot come again here. That is the condition of pure soul. If anybody he has not got chance of asking, he should be given priority. Nobody? Nobody? ठीक पूछ हाँ पूछ
प्रणव गुरुदेव, मैंने आपकी प्रेक्षादान के बारे में सुना है, तो आप
हाँ।
उसका थोड़ा एक्सप्लेन कर सकते हैं?
प्रेक्षा ज्ञान
प्रेक्षादान
थोड़ा बता दो कंप्लीट
इंग्लिश में बोल सकते हैं?
He's asking about Preksha meditation. So Preksha meditation is a system of meditation. Preksha means to see, to perceive. Meditation means meditation, you know. When we perceive, and if there is only perceive without attachment or aversion, without likes or dislikes, at the present moment, that is called Preksha. So Preksha meditation is practiced by Lord Mahavira, and after a lot of time, after many years, His Holiness Acharya Mahapragya again redesigned it in a new style from the ancient text and modern science according to that. He practiced himself, after experience he make a proper system of Preksha meditation. So the basic thing of Preksha is to perceive as it is. You can start with your breath. Just perceive your breath, it is coming and going, inhalation, exhalation. Just perceive. Don't make any kind of reaction. No likes, no dislikes. There is some different practices called Sharir Preksha. You have to perceive your body, your all the vibrations, subtle vibrations. Just perceive without likes and dislikes. Like the psychic centers on psychic colors, you have to perceive. There is few other techniques like relaxation, which is called Kayotsarga. In that you have to give up the attachment from your body. There are several kind of contemplation practices, Anupreksha. So there is a difference, all the course, and there is a website also, www.preksha.com, where you can find a lot of more details about Preksha meditation. And several Preksha meditation courses are also available in Jain Vishwa Bharati Laddu. There are regular camps and workshops on Preksha meditation.
about this ashram. Some informations about this ashram, who is the authority of this.
Pranams. It all started 64 years ago. That was when Ammaji was born in this village, poor village. It's a fishing community. Her very birth was very different from our birth. Usually human beings, they're born crying. Ammaji was born smiling. And people thought that is something very unique. Oh, why is this baby smiling? And it started revealing very soon after her birth. She was not like other normal children. She was very unique, full of love and compassion. Even from a very, very small age, from the age of 2 or 3, she started helping people around in the best way possible. Daily, she would visit this entire village to collect fodder for the cattle as a child. When she was visiting the village, she found out inequalities. Some people were rich, some were poor, some were sick, some were healthy. And as a child, she thought, why is there so much of inequality in the society? If there is God, why there is so much inequality in society? When this question came up in her mind, the answer got revealed from within. As a child, even when I'm speaking about a 4-year or 5-year-old child, the answer got revealed from within her that it's because of their own karma. They're reaping good or bad, they're suffering or they're enjoying. If it is their karma they are suffering, it is my responsibility to uplift them. It is my responsibility to help them in every way possible. That was the answer she got from within. It is from there it started, her charitable activities started from that revelation that she felt from within. Even as a child, she was absolutely convinced of her oneness with all entire creation. She was in the Sagata Samadhi. She was established in oneness. And she was always in bliss, she was always in meditation, she was always singing divine songs, and she was going around the village, she was helping poor people in whichever way possible. She was, even the school, she was very different. She would take up the responsibilities of the, she would take up the blame for the mistakes that other children had committed. She was so loving, she was so compassionate, even from a childhood. And the divinity started, I mean, her infinite love started expressing. And people in the village, they didn't understand. They were poor people, they were not educated, they didn't have any spiritual understanding. So they thought this girl is crazy. They thought Amma is crazy, and they wanted to avoid Amma. But slowly, when they started opposing her. They started opposing her when she started, when people started coming to her. People started flocking to her, and she started embracing the people. It's quite abnormal in India. You don't see a woman embracing man. It's quite abnormal. But she says, just as a doctor doesn't discriminate between patients, just as a river doesn't discriminate between anybody, just as a wind is impartial, I see the entire creation as my own children. So to listen to their suffering and to wipe the tears is my nature. That's how she started. And of course, there were so many communists around, and there were so many atheists around. They never understood. They wanted to kill her. They wanted to eliminate her. But nothing succeeded. Slowly, they started understanding her, and the people from different parts of the world, they started flocking towards her. And there's nothing here, just a 6 cent of land. Amma's father, he donated 6 cent of land, his property for starting the ashram. So when the building was when the prayer hall was about to be built, she came to know that there's an orphanage nearby where the children don't have enough food to take. So instead of building the prayer hall, she gave that money to the orphanage, and she took up the orphanage. That was how her institution started. So that is her message. Love is the answer for all the problem that the humanity is suffering. Love is the medicine, love is the way, love is the answer. As expression of that message, all her compassionate activities, all her charitable activities started. There was so many opposition around, but slowly everything subsided. Slowly all those who opposed her, they started understanding her, they started coming to her. And now it's just world round. Now it's become so massive. She visits so many nations throughout the world, all continents she visits. Just love and compassion. That's her message. All embracing, all accepting love, unconditional love. That's her message, and that's all started. Yeah, different varieties of activities from medical. We have a big super specialty hospital in Ernakulam that offers high quality medical service to the poor people, and we're starting one in Faridabad. Education, every field, education. We have 3 or 4 campuses we have, and we have we have engineering colleges, we have medical colleges, we have Ayurveda college. There have so many, around 40 schools we have in Kerala, and throughout India also we have so many education institutions, education field of medicine. And whenever there is a disaster, Amma reaches there and helps the people in the best possible way. When tsunami struck, or whenever there is an earthquake, or wherever there is a disaster, Amma reaches out, and Amma's volunteers, they help in the best possible way. So different varieties of fields. In the research is going on, building free houses for poor, giving pension for widows, giving pension for students. A variety of charitable activities are going on. And love and compassion, that is the substratum of all our activities. Unconditional. As she says, that is the essence of all of us. That is the essence of each and every human being. And to discover that is the purpose of human life. As Swamiji said, moksha. Attaining moksha is the purpose of ultimate human life. You attain that, you become an offering to the world. And her life is a living example for that. She doesn't reject anybody. She accepts all embracing love. I put it in a very simple way. Thank you. The most significant contribution I personally feel is bringing transformation in human minds. Helping the poor, helping the needy, that's true, but bringing transformation in each and every human being. So many people who've been leading a typically materialistic, selfish life, who've been leading a immoral life. Thousands and thousands of them have undergone transformation, and they are better human beings now, and they are an offering to society. So transforming human hearts, giving solace to people, giving comfort to people, that is the greatest possible help that you can offer, and she's offering that. That's the greatest service that she's offering. Transforming the souls. Can I ask one last question? So to attain that godhood, moksha is the ultimate goal of human life. How to how to perceive, how to move towards that goal of moksha. All of us are spiritual seekers, all of us are doing sadhana, all of us on this path. How to overcome inner negativities, how to speed up our progress, how to sustain the enthusiasm forever. Sustaining the enthusiasm till the last moment. How to do that? In the beginning, everybody is enthusiastic when they take up spiritual life. After 10 or 20 years, slowly that stagnant state comes. How to keep up the same enthusiasm that you had at the beginning till the last?
Man has authority in making efforts. Making efforts. Result may be achieved or sometimes not also. For spiritual practice, there is one means jap, enchanting jap, mantra. So half an hour, 1 hour, every day, if enchanting of mantras, pure mantras, that should be done. Or some reading of good books, shastras, good canons, good books. Sometimes our karmas come in rise. Even then again we should enchant our mantras and try to make that enthusiasm again in power. It is said that not only single birth, single life we can achieve salvation. According to Jainism, now in this time a man cannot go to salvation. We can make practice, but after this life we cannot achieve salvation. This is the not proper time for achieving salvation. But we can be near to salvation, as after this life, in next life, next we can again make practice. Then once we can go to salvation. It is very difficult. In so many births, we practice in several births, then we can achieve salvation generally. Not in a single life generally possible salvation. So now as our enthusiasm is some lower, less, in next birth we can make practice, next birth. In this way, in some after some birth, some lives, we can achieve salvation. But we should make effort more and more to keep our practice continuous. Be ready for meditation. Keep your neck and back in straight line. You can use Palthi asana, any other position you can choose for meditation, and keep your hands on knees as thumb and this finger should be touched each other. Keep your body motionless as possible. As an idol, keep your body motionless. Now there is a mantra, enchant the mantra. First listen to me, then you can enchant that mantra in the same way. Araham Now you can recite. Inhale. Inhale. Resolve. I practice praksha meditation for purification of my soul. I practice praksha meditation for purification of my soul.